The Gojulas. This is one ridiculously big Zoid that boasts over 1400 pieces across 90 sprues, and it's sure to take you a decent while to get through if you're chasing a huge, much larger build than usual. And there's a fair bit to get across, so let's dive on in. Starting out of the gate, each series of steps does take a fair while to trod through, however, there's a few things you can do to help speed up the process and make it a little bit easier on yourself. And the quick thoughts having built it now, it's actually not too hard of a model to do, which I'll explain as we go. Firstly, you'll set out to build the Gojulas itself as a basic standard Gojulas Zoid, and for this, you'll want all of the sprues that are labelled with English characters assigned to them, and the black lugs, even if they have Japanese characters. And this is because the cannons and extra bits toward the end are all Japanese character sprues, so it's safe to say you can divide them at the start if you want a cleaner workspace. The kit comes with white internal boxes, so when you debag all of your sprues, you can store all of the Japanese character sprues in them, and for ease of sorting and shifting, the big main carry box that the kit comes in can be used for all of the other sprues for the Gojulas itself. Now, in terms of a workspace, you are going to need a big one because, well, it's huge. When it comes to each step and going through the kit, my plan of attack was fairly simple, and I'm not going to recommend it unless you're fairly confident with models. But I cut an entire page worth of required parts out at a time, and then I built the entire page subsections one by one before moving on. This works better for me because I don't really like having to repeatedly bounce through the same sprues for 1 or 3 parts at a time, only to then have to repeat it in a step or two. And the reason why I don't recommend it for others is at times you're going to have a literal pile of pieces sitting on your desk, or wherever it is you're building it. And this can be overwhelming and might cause you to lose interest or give up, which we don't want. In terms of the actual difficulty, I found there's not really anything in particular that stands out as hard, except for me accidentally breaking one of the tail stabilizing attachment spots, but it's fixed, so no worries there. But the overall biggest challenge is time, thanks to the massive amount of parts that it has. If you do it in sections at a time, and you don't force yourself to build any more than you're feeling when you do it, I'd say anyone, including fairly new folks, can actually have a crack at it and do okay, and with a couple of tips in mind. A, the sprues that you use as you go will generally stay at the start of the alphabet and move forward, say sprues ABC around the beginning, progress through to QRS, etc. later on. And this doesn't generally change except for a few spots here and there where it does differ, and the sprues themselves are laid out like pages of a book for the larger ones. What that means is your first part on the sprue is usually labelled as 1, so if you get a sprue and you look at both sides, you'll notice that it goes 1 through, say, 24 on the left hand side of the sprue towards the bottom, and then at the start on the right hand side of the sprue, it'll typically start at, say, 25 and go through 50. Much like the pages of a book with words going down it. As for the panel lining and all that sort of stuff, I won't be doing it just yet because there's a few other builds that I'd like to get done while I'm still on holidays before I go back to work, so I'll do it, but it'll be down the line. At the final stages of the build, you'll get to a couple of links for the missile pods to the back equipment. You'll need to thread cable through 20 pieces for each side, then tie a half knot when done. And I'm pretty firm here. I had to use sturdy tweezers and needle nose pliers to pull them tight, but I don't believe that's going to stay like that forever. So if you can get some high quality super glue, such as Zappa to, sort of bind them a bit better, I'd say that's a much better approach, because I just don't trust the little tie-off to stay tight. While we're on the topic of glue, you're going to need it for this kit in little places here and there, which the manual is going to outright tell you to glue something. And if you feel that something is a little too loose, feel free to glue it. However, you need to ensure that it's not removable for other customized parts, or in my case, I left the head able to be dismantled because I carved out and snuck some magnetic LEDs for his eyes. So if the batteries die, I can take the head off, pull it apart, and change the batteries out. The Gojulas Ogre kit has a pretty large spread for price, but if you can catch it on Amazon sales, you can actually snag it for around 300 Australian dollars delivered. Otherwise, anywhere from 400 to 550-ish Australian. And I'll say that if you can wait out sales or eBay coupons, it may be the best choice to go with here. It also gives you a chance to save up for it, and when it comes down to being worth it, yep, I can see folks who aren't a shut-in like me getting a ton of time and satisfaction out of this. Because when you finish it, and you put all of its main sections together, it's a really solid feeling of joy, like, damn, he thick! Anywho, I'll shut up for now, and I'll be back at the end with the finished result and photos. So firstly, I do take back the comments I made about the previous build Storm Fury. This one both took and ate the cake when it comes to being a Chungus. So much so that I'm sorry to say, there's no rotational display this time. He's just too damn big. So I've made it work with some static photos. Absolutely massive and tons of fun. Thanks for watching and have a good one.